Welcome, audiophile and cinephiles alike, to the Beneflicks podcast, the show where we are reaping the Beneflicks one movie at a time. I'm Liz.
I'm Tyson.
How are you doing this early, early evening,
We haven't
dude?
recorded this early ever, low key. Is this
I
our
think
earliest ever?
the last time I can actually remember us recording during the day was our Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die episode because I was like, oh, it's a beautiful, cold day akin to like Gore Verbinski's aesthetic. Um,
Yeah, because we watched it. We watched that right after, or we recorded right after we watched
something.
Cure
Cure?
for Wellness,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then we did
Oh
something
wait,
after,
then it
right?
was not.
Well, didn't we
That
do
there,
something
there's
after?
no fucking shot that it was our opening episode. Because we watched Cure for Wellness, and then we record because we watched Lone Ranger because the whole thing was we're watching Gore Verbinski movies leading up.
Oh,
The point still stands. I,
we
I
don't
think
record early.
we've quite literally done it in the AM hours,
Absolutely,
but because of that, it's beautiful. It's warm.
it's a nice day. It's like right before sundown, and I'm very fortunate to have a decent view of like
You're downplaying it.
scenic.
It's a great fucking view, dude.
Yeah, it's like mostly a freeway, but I guess like comparatively, you can look at like other apartments in my complex and like they're just looking at like a brick wall.
Or also like my house, which is you either like if you're in my loft, you see the warehouse that was blown up, or you see the street that has the trucks that make our house rattle like we're in New York City. Um, no, it's great. I do think having the cold, I'm assuming that our listeners can already understand because I'm congested. You really do realize that like a part of what makes really cool weather that great for me at least partially is getting to smell it, like taking in a deep breath of a good wind, you know.
Yeah, no, there's like a very specific smell that I love from like winter time, like evenings where it's kind of like firewoody and like there's like a
Mm,
fireplace aroma, but also like
mm.
there's that specific winter chill. But that being said, I'm a summer baby. We're both summer babies technically. Or May is like on the cuff, right? Of
Yeah,
spring and summer, but I consider it more summer.
but I think we differ in how we affiliate as adults though,
Sure.
because you are I'm going to speak for you like a summer adult.
Yeah, I'm a water baby.
I'm not technically like no, because you are a Gemini. That is crazy.
Because you're right before the cutoff, right? You're Taurus.
I'm a full-blooded earth sign,
Do
but
you think, not to get into zodiacs, because I don't think either of us are too invested in that world, but do you think, like, obviously our birthdays are so close together,
yes.
and so if we were like someone who didn't know us, do you think they can accurately depict that we are two different zodiac signs? Do you think like we give that energies off? Because I
Yeah.
guess that's more of your world than mine.
Well, is this person acting off of like first interaction, like we've been talking to them for a couple hours, or do they get like a week? Because
A week.
I think if there is a week, and they get to experience us, I think the rule would be at like together all at once. Like it wouldn't be like individually. So like they're hanging out as like a three-way sort of engagement. I think so. I don't think it. Funny enough, I maybe it's because I'm very well aware of what a Taurus is. Like I 100% more often not funny enough too. Like people in top two guesses get that I'm a Taurus.
Really?
Pretty much like unanimously so. And it's not even like the sort of thing for some reason like and maybe it's because I have had personal experiences because I think like the two signs that I've butted heads with the most I found that Libras are the ones that like I have argued with or the ones that I have felt are the most manipulative. They're the chillest,
Gender specific or like both men and women?
both men and women.
Interesting. Okay.
But Scorpios, that is like the fire sign, like the fire in their belly sort of thing.
Really?
And that is the one. Funny enough, like my stepmom is a Scorpio, but I have found that I have had Scorpios in my life that we have had patches of intensity, and then it has resulted in some beautiful nature.
Interesting.
Geminis are funny, are like because I've gotten along with a lot of Geminis.
People never guess that I'm Gemini though. That's the interesting thing that people like that are more engrossed in that world.
Uh,
They're never guessing that I'm Gemini. I'm not sure as to why. I saw something recently that was kind of funny where Billie Eilish was saying how like Gemini men are like the worst people on the planet. And it's
okay,
funny because I hear that accusation thrown to Sagittarius men. I don't know if you've heard that before.
no,
That like Sagittarius men are like the worst ever, that they're pieces of shit. Long
interesting.
story short, I don't really that's not either of our field, but it is a I always get interested by like zodiac stuff because I always think that it's like cool to like I'm a sucker for like a good like a class system, like a classify.
Yeah.
Like I always like an RPG or whatever you want to call it. Like
Yeah.
that's a cool concept.
Yeah.
I'm not sure as to the validity of any of it, but
Hmm.
so weird. Like I'm, as you know, I'm friends with mostly women in my life,
Yes.
and I feel like I've gotten a bit more into it in terms of like the whole like Mercury's in retrograde and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this isn't to out anyone, obviously, but I think I'm getting more used to it because like they're like, oh, like I'm gonna get my period when the full moon hits, and then sure enough, every fucking month the full moon will hit, and they'll get, and it's freaky. Like I don't like how it works, and
Yeah.
obviously it's a
Yeah.
cycle, but like the fact that it's so consistent with the full moon, they're like
And
werewolves.
you
It's
can
fucking
track it
scary.
without
Yeah,
question. There is I promise I will not get into detail about it, but like I think it's almost impossible to not link like some truth behind it because I've spent countless hours at this point where like I play devil's advocate and I've seen the perspective of my parents and like the day that my stepmom finds out that I have like two tarot decks that I actually put a lot of power and worth in would be a
three of those toes are gone.
without on top of the 3 that had already been taken away, and so, like, I to me have, like, been like, "Is it that far-fetched?" You know, especially with their own spiritual beliefs of a lot more darker things to come as they are Catholics, and to extents, like, I get it, like, I don't think to me, it's literally, like, it is tangible, but so is the Bible, for
Yeah,
example, you know?
exactly. Very much
And so
so.
then, like, when it comes to, like, the cycles and Mercury and parts of the Earth and the Moon and the world in alignment to elicit certain things. I have felt like again there is a power behind it, and again, you know, when people say like making love at certain times, not even just like the cycles of people's bodies, but just like worldly enhances things. But it's also like the argument could be made that's psychological because then if they're saying that, then I think they're
Sure,
going in with a internal
preconceived
inhibition
notion,
100%.
expectations.
But it's at the same time like why the fuck not, you know? Like
Very much so.
and I have found, like, earthly, very spiritually divine, whether it's, like, people who believe in Hecate or people who believe in, like, the sun and the moon as their gods.
Yeah,
I've always found they are very, like, earth conscious and very, like, environmental, so it's also just, like,
that's a net
why the fuck
positive.
and I've yet to have it be, like, negative, like,
Yeah,
derogatory.
there's like Scientology, but even that is kind of more so like,
Exactly.
can we make babies' brains into like mashed potatoes or something?
And drape it all over our face and
And
keep us young.
that's so fitting because spirituality,
Mhm.
we're on a very spiritual journey today for
We
this
are.
episode.
We are.
The movie, which we'll get into later,
Yes.
some questions that we have
Yes.
prepped. Um, but fuck you, my turn.
Yeah, please
What
go.
art's in your mind? Or what? Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we, BTS for listeners, we recorded last episode about 10 days ago, or more than that, 11
Yeah,
days ago,
yeah.
which might not seem like a long time, but Liz and I see each other usually like once a week,
Mhm.
more often than not twice a week. So
Yeah.
for a time span of that long to go by without us seeing each other, and
Mhm.
especially like without recording, is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All that to be said, there was very much like an intention behind it. Like, we were both busy doing things in our own separate lives, whatever, yada
Mhm.
yada yada. But our last episode, we weren't able to really much like indulge in the art on our minds because we were
Yeah.
recording so soon after the previous one.
Mhm.
We have a
Mhm.
huge chunk of time now. I'm gonna spoil mine a little bit. I haven't watched much.
Mhm.
However, you've been kind of on a watching and playing and listening. So, what art has been on your mind as of recent?
Sure. Yeah, I mean and it's also fair to note too that, like, the 10-ish or so days, like, close to 2 weeks at this point, have been filled with a lot of things happening on both of our ends.
Very much so.
Mine is a bit more rooted in art consumption, and yours is more rooted in
Can I get fucked up beyond belief?
consumption. Exactly.
Ooh, a little
A
bit of
a
consumption.
and a touch of consumption 100%, and I have been dabbling as well for 20 happened. Um, it is very fascinating, and it's funny because there's a lot of things that are gonna be brought up spiritually driven in this episode,
Quadrillion%.
but I will say having really dabbled again in I guess it's a psychedelic, but, like, just edibles and really finding like what exact dose I like to where I'm not tripping my skin melting off in the household that I'm in, and I wake up with talkie dust all over my bed, you know.
What happened?
Oh, as I lick my fingers. No, it has felt really, really good to immerse myself at a very fascinating juncture because while you were gone in Berkeley getting stoned out of your mind, I was plunging back into filmmakers that I've known the text for at least since 2021. Yeah, 2021. That's like the year that I really immersed myself. And the re-release of Speed Racer in 4K IMAX was hot in my mind, and I knew I was gonna see it. I just didn't know when and where and how. And knowing that you were gonna be gone, I was like, well, fuck, do I? And then some friends came in and they're like, let's immerse ourselves. And so the big, heavy, prevalent one would be just the Wachowskis' filmography. Dove into Bound, one of the greatest 4K transfers there is on the Criterion. And then after that, watched Cloud Atlas. And then that night before I went to go see Speed Racer, the following day I saw Matrix Resurrections and then watched Speed Racer. Then after that, watched about 75% of Jupiter Ascending before my copy burned. I don't know how the fuck that happened. Um, so like that is the easy grab. I will say to answer the question, I'm gonna have to kind of wait a little bit because there's a couple picks in the questions that we're going to be answering soon
Sure, yeah,
that have
that's
been
fair.
really on my mind,
That's
even
completely fair.
prior to I was about to say Project Hail Mary, prior to Mother Mary.
Yeah.
So I will say just the main would be just the commitment to faith and love and the pursuit of what is human. And like I showed you Cloud Atlas, it didn't hit for you, and for me, like, it is, I guess, maybe in many ways an anomaly because like there really isn't any other film like it ever made. And to some people's statements, they will probably say that's rightfully so, like there should never be something like Cloud Atlas. But it's a movie that like I have maybe seen the most in my adult life out of any other movie ever, even like in the Wachowskis' filmography. And it's a thing that I will repeatedly watch over and over again. It's a feeling kind of movie, and I think there's maybe plenty of those for you where like there are things that you can pick apart, and there is 100% racially offensive stereotypes in that movie, and I'm not going to excuse it. I think it is done for the sake of the narrative at play, but that isn't an excuse. It just is a film that fucking rocks me every single time.
Oddly specific, I don't even know if you have an answer to this, but is that your favorite Tom Hanks performance?
I think I would have to just say off of the swings and like he is playing so many different smaller roles, like the whole bit of like him being the Cavendish Clang with the knuckle sandwich, like
Sure.
he is. And again, to his own statement, that is his favorite movie he'd ever been a part
Oh,
of.
really?
I think it was like one of those like, Mr. Hinks, what is your top five favorite movies you've been a part of? And then like he like spews some like Spielberg shit and
Yeah.
probably says like Toy Story, but then like he was like, but the one that I look back on the fondest is Cloud Atlas. And I think
Mm.
like it is an actor's paradise, and
Sure, you get so many roles, so many different
without question.
mannerisms and freedom to approach. And also, the Wachowskis just feel like they run really fun sets. I mean, I guess I can't speak for the
Sure.
actors, but just the processes are so oftentimes CGI conducive, which I feel like can be debilitating for so many actors.
Yeah.
But a lot of their actors look upon those projects with such, rose-colored glasses, and
Yeah.
they really do admire the Wachowskis' work. So I have to imagine it's a pretty fun set to be on, or at least retrospectively at the very least.
Sure. And then I guess like musically, I've been listening to a few things. For some reason, had a revisionism back into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Fucking, I really eat that shit up.
Bit too jammy for me. I guess I need to
Mm,
explore more. They're like have a crazy in-depth discography for being such a
hmm
short, lifelong band, but
Yeah, yeah,
a bit too jammy for my taste. But
I like
from
that.
some stuff I've heard of, it's very, very, very good.
And then other than that, like lately I think like 2026 has been the year that like when I'm doing things, I'll put on some Crystal Castles, but like that I won't
Dun,
a
dun, dun,
hundred
dun,
percent
dun.
count because that has just always been on the rotation.
That's always in the mind.
100%. And What else? There's a couple other groups I was listening to.
Doom, doom.
Was listening to that track a lot. Bald by JPEG Mafia.
Yeah. New
But
album
is
announced
that
it. I
true?
just announced it today, May 17th, I
Oh,
think, right after your birthday.
get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here! And meanwhile, fucking the two goons at Death Grips are just eating each other. I don't
They're smacking like pots and pans and seeing what
some
works.
bullshit. But and I will say I have been listening a lot to the soundtrack and score to the movie we're going to be talking about today.
Sick. That's very
Um,
cool.
Listening to a couple scores. We've been listening a lot to the Green Knight score because of this movie. I
Yeah.
love that score. It's and we'll talk about sort of the feeling that that score and Daniel Hart's work with David Lowery elicits from me.
Yeah.
But other than that, you know, I'm gonna save a couple of the things for some questions I'm gonna ask you. But before that, what has been some art on your mind?
I spoiled it. I haven't watched many films.
Sure, sure.
Um, my roommate Callie, shout out to roommate Callie.
Yes.
She's been going down the Succession plunge, and we haven't brought up Succession on the pod yet, which is kind of shocking.
Mhm.
Um, all that to say, she's going on the plunge based off my recommendation, and I'll watch episodes sparingly. She's about to finish it, where she's actually on the season finale for season 4, which we hope to watch tonight.
Jesus Christ.
Um, so she's been going down that plunge. I will watch episodes sparingly with her when I have the time. Succession, to this day, is my favorite show,
Mhm.
which you put me onto. I'm very grateful for you because that is a show that I think about. That's something that's always in my mind. That show,
Yeah.
but specifically, the episode 10 of
Yeah.
season 4,
Yeah.
the funeral episode. Yeah, just
It's aces.
it's impeccable. It's some of the best television ever. It's some of the best filmic visual medium ever. It's superb, and there's like 3 lines from that episode alone that I want to get tattooed on my body. So we'll figure it out one day. But
Mhm.
beyond that, beyond the visionary stuff, so much music I've been listening to. Obviously, like you said, I was in Berkeley, very
Mhm.
much a party vibe, a bit more of a an upbeat vibe. Um,
Good deal.
Shout out to Slater. I haven't listened to her full album,
Okay.
but the track "Beat Up Chanel," super super great stuff. Been very much in an R&B mood, and we're not gonna have a chance to talk about it as of now. Maybe it'll be brought up in passing. But obviously, Michael came out. We're not gonna talk about it, and I doubt we're
Mhm.
even gonna watch it.
No.
But I have been going on kind of a Michael Jackson plunge in terms of his music and R&B as a whole.
Okay.
Stuff like Mario and D'Angelo. So I've been kind of on that kick. Want to shout out a band called the Velveteers. It's like
Okay.
I heard someone compare it to Queens of the Stone Age. Interesting band setup. It's
Okay.
a lead female vocalist, guitarist, but then the 2 other band players are just 2 drummers, like 2 dudes that are just both drummers. So it's a
Oh,
3-part
okay.
band, 2 drummers.
2
Very interesting,
drummers and a
right?
vocalist? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but some super cool stuff there, some really cool songwriting, and yeah, beyond that, just been listening to whatever comes on, and I hope to watch more. I've been very much out and about trying to do things, and obviously with work get busy.
Yeah.
And then it's not art, it's more of like a drug, but we had this conversation yesterday. Been playing a lot of Overwatch. Unfortunately relapsed, and that's
Yeah.
unfortunate because I was doing so well, but I'm back on it and I'm low key addicted, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Yeah, but, like, again, it's an addiction that if you're able to die in silence versus making everyone be a part of your splash zone, is it that bad, you know?
Well, that's true until you're like, let's hop on over, like, let's get stoned and hop on Overwatch, and then that's when you can feel my toenails against your chest.
Yeah, but I guess at that point, is it your fault? Because, like,
That's true. You're inviting it.
100%. Like, and I guess that's also another thing that I was thinking about because our good friend Austin had just watched The Wailing, which is a movie you were underwhelmed by.
Very much so.
And it's the thing where, like, it's fascinating because it's a rare instance where when I had recommended something to you, I was saying with resounding flying colors that you need to watch it, but everything you were saying didn't work for you. It was like I was trying to grab at like a faint dream that I'd have no recollection of. So it's like I can't even tangibly recollect it. But the way that Austin was sort of describing it to me really made me want to jump into like J and K horror a lot more because I think
Yeah,
the way that they paint things feels so imbued into the reality of the world at large, and they never make anything feel dramatized.
very much so. They're very just dour, mean movies
Yeah,
over there.
yeah,
There's obviously the one Takashi Takashi Mike.
Yeah, sure, sure,
He's
sure.
obviously like known for like being super extreme and grotesque with his horror, but there's also that one I Saw the Devil
Yes.
that's like notoriously like super mean spirited and pretty fucked up.
Yeah, yeah,
They
yeah.
get mean over there for
They
sure.
do, they do. But I really am not here to get mean. Despite there being an angle where we can talk about the hellish type of movies, I kind of want to talk about the more heavenly, dreamlike, ethereal, spiritual, ghost-like. I want to move with you through the phantom realm real quick, if you will.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk because whether it be kind of we had seen Mother Mary. Well, I had saw Mother Mary the day like 2 days before we saw it last night, so 3
Yep.
days ago. And we had seen it last night, gave our brief thoughts, but I was very much hoodwinked in many ways by the notions that this movie plays with and the ideas that are at work in David Lowery's bald fucking head. And it made me think about this idea because I think we've talked. I forget in what episode we talked about this, but I had brought up like the movies that are overtly about religion that feel preachy never work, but the ones that have it behind the scenes or a facet of a multifactorial movie hit harder. You know, like
Sure.
there is the Angel Studios, there's the God's Not Dead 1 through 12. And that doesn't always count. You know, like in what I'm about to ask you, I had brought up a thought of a couple of different movies, Silence being a very directly overt movie about Judeo-Christian and the Jesuit priests getting condemned.
Yes.
So it does work. But I was very curious the thought process you had when I had asked you to think of a couple movies off the top of your head that maybe don't even put the spiritual angles that they're playing with at the forefront, but have it in the periphery, use it as a side plot or even a scene in a movie that is otherwise not really even about spirituality. Because in doing so, I thought of several different
Mhm.
ones. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Let's just kinda go band for band. We never
Let's.
go band
I
for
fucking
band.
agree. Let's do it. Let's do it. Go first.
Yeah, so I guess I can hold off on my because no, that's not true. Because you kinda brought up The Green Knight, so I'll kind of piggyback off of that. Not exactly in that same
Okay.
vein, but I do when the I get, like, sound cues, sound stims, obviously, as you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and when as soon as you asked the question, my brain kinda jingled a little bit, and it was, like, playing a little jingle. I was like, "What's that? What is that melody?" That's what I first
Oh.
thought.
Okay. Okay.
And I want to
Oh my
shout
god.
out specifically, where are you, fucker? I'm trying to find your name so I can give you the. I'm like
Jerskin foreskin.
I'm on the clock right now. They're gonna fucking
Do
kill
you want
me.
me to? I could go first.
Yeah. We'll talk about the score for
Oh,
Green Knight, please. Do me if it. Yeah.
okay. Well, okay. You know, if I'm on the spot, I'll talk to you, Daniel. Let's talk one on one real quick. I think okay. What I will say about Daniel Hart's orchestral work and his vast array of trinkets at his disposal with the 3 Lowry joints is there's always a track in his fuck ass movies that have sort of everything that crescendos into one moment. The penultimate finale or the thing that kind of brings the thesis of the movie together.
Mhm.
And it is where the audio and the visual kind of are wed and you are just assaulted.
Yeah.
But I will give, and we'll talk about it when we get into Mother Mary, it is always handled, whether it is Daniel Hart's influence or Lowry's touch, with the most delicacy, you know?
Mm.
And I think like there is a bit of a like fable storybook adjacent approach to the sound of it. But it's one where like if you sort of like you bring up like people don't get that I'm a Gemini. If I hear a track by Daniel Hart, I'm like, that's Daniel Hart, you know?
Mm.
And I fuck with it heavily because
Yeah.
it's the sort of composition work that a Justin Hurwitz is linked to a Chazelle, where they are linked. They
Yeah.
are
They're
like
twins.
you cannot separate one or the other. The
Mm.
dun 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 dun, like that's Babylon or da 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 dun. Oh wait, that's also Babylon. Sorry. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So shout out, yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I actually fucked up. I didn't
Oh,
realize these were 2 different guys, but I guess I'll just give credit to the big man upstairs. I
Okay.
immediately thought about the ending score to both Hereditary and Midsommar. Such
Oh.
beautiful pieces of ethereal, haunting, but weirdly up, especially Midsommar with like the visual imagery of kind of like
Mhm, mhm,
the acceptance of letting go and the grief aspect and the joy born out of tragedy
mhm.
and how, like there's like this brainwashing element, but the
Yeah.
score is so
Colin Stetson, right?
Colin Stetson does Hereditary, and I was gonna shout him out, but
He
from
doesn't do
that's what
Midsommar?
I was shocked
Wait,
by.
what?
Composer is Bobby Krylik, the composer of Beau Afraid and Eddington. So this guy's a bit more in line with
Whoa. Wait, then
Ari
can you do
Aster,
me a favor? What has Colin Stetson done?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the
Wait,
newest
motherfucker,
one,
which
the newest one.
oh.
But he also did, and this is gonna kind of shake up the industry. Where the fuck? I just lost your face again. Oh, here. Um, he has also done The Menu, Color in
Okay.
Space. Not much,
Okay.
honestly, which is
Ew.
so interesting because that ending song to Hereditary is I don't know. I mean, we used it for that one dumbass project that I had for class.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing composition. Anyways, don't want to spend too much time on this, but my point in saying is like soundscape and especially composition is so crucial in a lot of elements to creating these
Mm.
ethereal, more
It's a
spiritual
very good
feelings.
point.
But to be a bit more specific with a film with spirituality and one that is kind of right in line with Mother Mary and one that David Lowery spoke as an influence, Portrait of a Lady on Fire
Very good
feels
point.
very ghostly,
Very good point.
haunting. It feels kind of not spiritual in the sense of uplifting or like relatively motivating, but there is an allure to the film that feels like there's another dimension at play.
Yeah. Oh,
Whether
yeah.
it's love, whether it's connection, whether it's quietly the ghost that haunts
Mhm.
our main character or these premonitions that she sees of her lover,
Yeah.
it's sprinkled throughout the film. The film does not shy away from it. There's also like this aspect of like womanhood that's present with like
Mm.
the housekeeping character.
Yes.
There's like the
Yes.
fire scene where she catches on fire.
Mhm.
It's just a very obviously a very much like a vignette of a film with so much
Mhm.
color and beautiful just natural imagery, but also one that feels so eclectic in its ghostly feel.
Okay, then I'm gonna piggyback for almost the exact same reasons, and one that I had really, really, really wanted to see. And I think it can all be summarized in one moment, specifically in a movie that has it in spades from beginning to end. One that isn't afraid to get a bit nightmarish, but also dreamy, have moments where you are wondering if what is real is actually real or in the person's head. But I'm gonna specifically shout out Spencer and
Yes, yes,
the
yes, yes.
moment where she flees the huge courtyard into the, like, abandoned villa,
Yeah, her old house.
the old house, and it's just like a one shot of what I'm almost I could be forgetting, is that her mother she sees? Or she sees like a it's like a
No, she
historic.
sees basically, I think it's a previous person who is also a part of the
Mm,
royal family
okay,
who died or something. I
yeah.
think or it's like she gets a book, right? Like it's a book
It
that she read.
You're right,
Yeah.
100%, and, like, we tripled that with the Pablo Larraín feminist
That was a
trilogy,
triple, that's crazy, yeah.
and a lot of people love Jackie, I love Jackie. There is I think the moment that gets closest to, like, reaching out like that scene does in Jackie would be the kids getting up during the funeral in Jackie with the
Yeah,
casket, which
yeah.
for a very different feeling and unearthing of emotion. But Spencer is a movie that continually, like, I look at, like, biopics, take Michael, for example, and funny enough, like, the story of Princess Diana had been adapted prior with I think it was Naomi Watts,
Oh, I didn't know that.
that played things so literally, it got slammed, like, bad. But Spencer, and it's the thing that I put in my review when we had seen it, which was like, how can you pay reverence to someone who has no longer the ability to speak on what they experienced, but also personify something more? And I think that's what like something like Spencer and First Man do beautifully, which is take this person who is in the iconography of history, but paint them. What is Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon? What would that do to a person, or how does a person have to get to that point to be the perfect candidate to go to the moon? Princess Diana, a person who was in the news 24/7, but would always do things like go take her kids to go to McDonald's, like things
Yeah.
that are not royal like.
Conventionally royal, yeah.
Exactly. And whether it's Kristen Stewart's performance or the way that Lorraine shoots it and the way that the score accompanies it, that movie at every single turn, whether it's her eating the pearls or in the bathroom trying on
Yeah.
dresses, her relationship with Sally Hawkins, like it is a fucking juggernaut of dream state, you
It
know?
is super, like, dreamlike, and if anything, it actually shares a lot of, like, character stability with Mother Mary, not in the same sense, but, like, there is a comparison to be made with, like, the elegant dressing and the iconography
Yeah.
of royalty
Yeah.
compared to the pop stardom and
Yeah.
yada, yada, yada. The film's gonna get brought up in a lot of other instances.
I agree.
Another example, of one that I mean, I could it's been a while since I've seen it, but I think about it so
Okay.
frequently,
Let's see
and
if
it
you have we share one yet.
La Chimera.
No, I don't have that. Fuck,
La
that's a
Chim
really good
Yeah,
one.
La Chimera, I desperately need to watch that movie because I think out of every film I've given below a 9 to, because I think I gave La
Yeah.
Chimera, like, an 8 out of 10.
Mhm.
I think about that movie, like, so frequently.
Yeah, you brought
It
it up several
it's
times.
so, so powerful, and it really just comes down to its very slow, simmering look at always chasing something that you'll never achieve,
Mhm.
whether it's wealth or whether it's love or whether it's
Mhm.
solving past your grief.
Mhm.
Um, and it comes down to how quiet the film is and how it this beautiful, how it's shot. It
Yeah.
looks so pastel in a
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, and obviously that film also has, similar things with Ghost because the whole thing is, like, they dig up graves and
Yeah.
whatnot, and there's obviously that classic line with, like, "You weren't made for human eyes." It feels ethereal, it feels angelic, it feels heavenly,
Mhm.
and it feels, in a sense, like you're walking on land that has something beyond your comprehension,
Yeah.
and you're just kind of along for the ride.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, La Chimera is one that I hope that more people go out of their way to check out. I think it's on movie or whatever, but yeah, no,
No,
it's super powerful.
I think, I have several examples. I mean, I will for the sake of time, I will say that I'm gonna save a couple that I actually put on here for the other question that
Yeah,
I'll once we
similarly.
we'll start talking about Mother Mary, and then I'll ask that question. I wanted to just highlight the fact that, like, as I was curating the list together, I realized there is so many fucking queer-oriented movies that either have these technical flourishes that make it feel very cerebral or ethereal, or are directly like a core fixture of the narrative itself. Guadagnino revels in it, and to extents that I wouldn't understand yet with like Suspiria, but like queer is this triptych thing that like every time I think about that movie, I'm like, they didn't really do that, and they did. I mean, it's the movie that opens with "Come as You Are" as he walks in slow mo,
Yeah.
and then there's things like I Saw the TV Glow, which is far more about the trans experience, but even things like All of Us Strangers, which quite literally ends in, without spoiling it, a very earthly universe type shot,
Yeah, 100%.
fucking and I think the movie really illustrates, whether through placing itself in this penthouse apartment where you see so many different wides of people in windows, like, there is always moments that it reminds you, "Okay, we're getting a little in unhuman for a second. Let's get very spiritual," but that ending just, like, it came out of nowhere for me, but it never felt like it didn't earn it. But, like, even outside of that, I wanted to highlight, like, Coraline, don't really need to elaborate, like, there is just things in that movie that, like, Henry Selick, man, I'm so sad that, like, and that's the thing too, is it's like, we talk about, like, breaking into film, but there's, like, breaking into animation, like, stop motion, and breaking into the video game industry are, like, 2 pockets where I'm like, how does anyone in the big 2-6 say, "I'm gonna do it?"
Oh,
Because
it's fucking impossible.
it's impossible, and it's unrelentingly punishing.
You look at the guy who made Marcel and Michelle. Fucking
The
Lively Though and Stitch, and now you're doing the second one.
exactly. Like, and are you happy with that, dude? I mean, I bet you're happy, like, getting to eat good meals at night, but, like,
Yeah.
what no meal worth a price could ever sustain your bottomless heart. Yeah,
Creative hunger. I would make Stitch too if I got to eat sushi every night.
Don't even talk to me about sushi. I'm hungry. But I will say the last few that I will highlight, Lake Mungo.
Lake Mungo, Speed Racer, obviously,
Okay. I
obviously.
actually exempted myself of putting a
I
Shyamalan and a
put
Wachowski.
I
Oh, you did.
oh I, I
Yeah.
was thinking about it. Lady in the Water was gonna come up during Mother Mary.
Okay. Okay. So we'll
Mother
hop.
Mary is David
Eh,
Lowery's Lady in the Water.
I think every artist that wants to try is just Lady in the
As
Water.
I'm tweaking the fuck out. Heat, Tar, Sunshine. Good one, a good one. Wait, a good one.
I'm ready.
Perfect Days.
Oh.
A really good one about honestly kind of like spirituality within yourself
Yeah.
and finding the inner comfort within yourself, but how destructive
Mm.
and how and how compromising that can feel.
Uh-huh.
That
Hmm.
movie is another one where I own it. I wish I can put it on and just and feel in the breeze because truthfully, like
I agree.
without saying too much, that scene where he's in what it's his sister, right? Where he's confronted by his
Yeah.
sister.
Yeah. And he's reduced to being, sorry.
Yeah. But so amazing. But yeah, anyways, a lot of films that we can go on, for example, and that's not including like the big one for us and especially you, Signs, which is a bit more on
Yeah.
the nose,
Yeah.
but it's
I'll say
aliens.
the last two, I'll say. The last two.
Say it.
Um, and you might disagree with me, but it was actually the talk I was having with Austin. Burning is a fucking crazy movie, dude. Like, and the conversation with him because he was like, I don't remember it, and I was like, do you not remember like? And I didn't want to spoil the ending, but I was like, do you not remember the final shot? And he's like, no. I'm like, do you remember him trying to search for a cat? And I've been thinking about that scene every day of my life. Like, I know.
Look at my arm! Look at my arm!
You're him with the in that movie, like it isn't even about being dreamlike, but it sticks to the uncertain, and it's like he's a fuck, and the movie started getting. I can't look at So okay, without you jizzing in my face, I will say the last movie I'm going to bring up will be Coherence. I think that movie
Ooh, that's a good one.
is so, and it's like you ever think about like the movies that like you ever played like that Mario game where you have to like blow in your DS and it like gets you like far like to the 100 meter?
Yes, probably.
We hit the 100 meter the first time we watched Coherence, like or together.
Yeah.
There's no way that will ever be undone.
That
And we
was so
saw it at
much
a
fun.
cabin at night. That movie is unbelievable.
I didn't know anything about it. You
No, you
made me
didn't.
go in blind, and I remember I was like, I love this, and then it got me.
Yeah, and so yeah, and with all that being said, I think we have spent enough time frolicking through the daisies. Now let's go pick up a dandelion and make a wish. Oh, sorry, that was really good. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Alpha Wayman.
It's really good as I'm trying to figure out in real time what that even means.
All this to say, we're here to talk about the new David Lowery joint that, believe it or not, is not Peter Pan or Wendy or Pete's Dragon or Marcel the Shell with Lilo and Stitch's shoes on. We are here to talk about Mother Mary. And I have for too long made you say, Chinese Tyson, what is the plot of insert movie? I'm going to say the plot.
Oh, you said the plot for the last one.
What was the last one?
The Mummy.
Okay, then you say the plot of this. You're right. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So Mother Mary is about a pop icon by the name of Mother Mary, played by Anne Hathaway, who revisits an old friend who used to be her from I guess it's not specifically said, but for the most part, costume designer or I guess like a fashion designer, kind of like what seems to be like an old best friend, and they both have very much a withered connection. And
Mhm.
so Mother Mary approaches her old fashion designer played by Michaela Cole,
Yes.
named Sam.
Mhm.
She approaches Sam and basically says, "Hey, I need you to make me a new dress because I am feeling essentially like incomplete
Yeah.
without your fashion on me." And then from there, we kind of understand more as to why Mother Mary is so disheveled, what's affecting her.
Mhm.
We get more insight on their relationship and why it is no longer what it was. And yeah, I think that's a good enough way to explain the general premise of Mother Mary because it goes in places and has a form
Yeah.
which cannot be hinted at without spoiling.
Exactly, and we'll wait to get to there. But I want to note real quick. We came out of the movie last night.
Yes.
This was the first movie that we had seen, quite literally, since hanging out.
Since The Mummy.
Since The Mummy. And we had recorded that episode, and I won't go too deep into the thoughts of it. I'm happy that we got to make something. But you came out and brought up a thought that spawned me wanting to ask this question, where we had both come out of Mother Mary. This was my second time. This was your first. Every single time we've come out of a movie, we've been able to talk, give our thoughts, at least to some degree.
Sure.
And I think it was a misstep on my end to falsely assume that that could be echoed equally as so into recording form because of the dynamic we've created, but also because I have been a creator for years that has basically done just that.
Yeah, right.
Seen something, jump straight into recording. And you had told me that, like, I think going forward, in order to get the best version of you, or also just the most cohesive, sound, sane Tyson thoughts, give a movie a day. And you know what? I'm not gonna ever argue with that because that's the least we could fucking do when an artist slits their wrist and puts fabric in their body. And so it had made me think about art that you had said I need to let simmer. And I guess my question before we get into Mother Mary, and I've said that like 10 times already this episode, is there any art that comes to mind that you immediately think of when you think of the concept of simmering, both complimentary and derogatory?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess to speak in kind of like let's go negative first because I have more positive examples.
Interesting. Interesting.
Not for me, but definitely for you, warfare. Yeah.
Don't speak on my behalf and be
Sorry,
right.
sorry, sorry. I just don't
Jesus.
even know if you were thinking about
I
it.
was not.
Um, and that's an example. I think I'm a bit more decisive on
Huh?
a whim, which is funny because I think many people would think the opposite based
Yeah,
on how we portray ourselves
I
to
could
our
agree with that.
audience. But I think for me, like when I kind of have my mind made up, I usually have my mind made up. Obviously, that's not true because I have a list of examples of things that have grown on me
Yeah.
over time. But for things like inherently being negative, I don't really have too much to speak on, which I'm glad to hear. I'm glad that most films like they stay pretty established. Um, Obviously, there are examples of films I just never think about,
Yeah.
but I don't think would you consider that an example of a film that, like, that gets colder for you that you don't think about it, or rather just, like, you're intaking so much that you can't possibly remember everything?
Are we referring to warfare?
No, of I mean,
Uh,
for
uh,
example, I forgot I saw The Moment by Charlie XCX this year.
Okay, so I'll explain because I don't have nearly as many as I did for like the movies that have the spiritual angle.
Sure.
I have several, and it's funny because I actually came up with more negative than I did positive.
Really? Talk to me.
Um, and I think it kind of goes to show that we are different people in that regard. Where like I think if I love a movie, I really really love it, and it just like I'm climbing a couple more steps after that.
You jump for joy.
Exactly. Where like that jump, I'm already there. But movies like there is sadly, I think the first thought that came to mind was The Materialist. So where I came
Oh,
out of that
yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I'm juiced. I'm jazzed." But I now look back and I'm like, "No, it's because we're in a serious drought of decent rom-coms."
Very true.
And that clouded my judgment where I gave it a 4.5. Now I'm much more on like a 3 to a 3.5 even. The biggest negative example that I have would be the one that like we've joked about, which was The Flash. Like
Yeah.
and I think like that is something that I kind of haven't even really like mended, not my hurt towards The Flash, but the thought of like at what point are you excusing the art because you made the effort to go see it? And, like,
Mm.
I made a whole day about it. Like, I was really pitting, like, that movie being one that I come out of and I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna pine it for content." Not that that is something that I truly do think about, but it's kinda like job security, for example, Like, you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm gonna do this work, I'm gonna be in the sewers clogging out shit, but hey, I get a band for it," you
Well,
know?
we do that now, like, there are certain films where we kind of are like, even if we haven't seen it yet, we're like, "Oh, it's a pretty sure enough bet that we're gonna end up talking about that."
Yeah, but, like, I don't know why I was thinking that. I don't know what fucking wool was over my eyes. Like, that movie is atrocious. It's one of the worst things I had ever seen, and I came out of it and I gave it 3.5. Like, it's still a 3.5 on my letterbox. Like,
You told me not to watch it, you're like, "You won't like it, don't watch
yeah,
it," but I
you
thought it
won't
was
fucking get
fun.
it. It's highbrow art, bitch. Like, that to me would be, like, the biggest negative. The one that I did move from ethereal to this, Inland Empire. Um,
Yeah.
that movie, like maybe the biggest 180 a movie has ever had for me. Like, I
Good.
think in my review, I said, I wish Letterboxd was able to give something a half heart because, like,
Yeah.
I love things, but I also detest others. But, like, and that's, like, the thing that, like, I really don't like to think about is, like, it took a guy dying for me to understand that, like,
Aw.
something is, like, unbelievably profound, you
Yeah.
know? And, like, I'll never trade that experience seeing that in Holy Motors on the
Oh
time
my
that the hour was
god.
taken away the day before the Oscars, had, like, 6 Cadbury eggs in my belly that were all, like, speaking to me like runes, but
You
that
looked over, my shirt was off.
oh, everything was off, dude, and then when the hour switched, you had 6 layers on.
That was so scary. I remember just us being in that room being like,
Y
"Wait,
yes.
what? What happened to an hour of our life?"
And we couldn't even respond because we, like Laura Dern, needed to know the bus route to Pomona. So it's like that and, like, my final answer, I guess, would be the one thing that, like, has as the simmer was the point of it would be Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Um,
Mm.
saw it together, loved it, loved it, loved it. Had to get viciously broken up with to understand, like, what it meant, and, like,
Mm.
that, like, to me, I still think about Brad Dourif begging for Annie as he holds her corpse or which is so funny, like, Scout Taylor Compton, who plays the lead in the film, Laurie Strode,
Yeah.
people say she gives a horrendous performance, but
About
I think
to
it's one of the greatest final girl performances there is.
I think it's the one of the most in-depth Final Girl performances of
Without
all
question. Like,
time.
her, like, yelling at her therapist, but, like, again, like, I'm hard pressed to think of a movie that is as helpless, as thankless, as mean as it is, where, like, again, the TP of the Naked Gun and the Sonic movies make this film, like and he lights it and, like, I
It's like
forever am like a little buoy on that mini ocean with Brad Dourif, his daughter, and her as they're eating pizza.
yeah,
And like, it's funny. The last thing I'll say about that is the actress Danielle Harris, who plays Annie in the
yeah.
movie. She hates the film, hates
Really?
it.
I did not know that.
Because she loves the first one. She says she will like always be a part of anything Rob wants her to be a part of, but she wishes it was more of just the three of them. And, like, in my opinion, I do too, but the denial of it is what makes the movie so fucking good.
Interesting. Yeah, no.
But
Crazy
yeah,
fucking movie.
yeah.
Crazy fucking movie.
Did you have any that were, like, minging? Like oh,
I had
sorry.
a lot that were minging.
Yeah,
I had a
yeah,
lot. I
yeah,
was
whip it out, I'm ready.
um, yeah, movies that just got better over time for me. I brought up to multiple times Margaret. I thought about the movie every day.
Yeah,
Another example of a lead performance that I think many people would write off as annoying,
I agree.
as acute, as one that is not preferable. As I think it's so easy to demand a likable main character. Margaret goes entirely against the grain, where Lisa is the main
Yeah,
character of Margaret.
yeah,
Maybe the best example of a character who is so flawed and so unlikable, but so fascinating to watch and see her journey
yeah,
explored. Great, great stuff.
I agree.
Think about that movie a lot. I love Margaret.
I'm glad I didn't bring it up. It's yours to bring up.
Um, Certain Women, think about that one a lot. I watched it, 8 out
Oh,
of 10.
fuck.
I think about that movie a lot. Obviously, everyone points towards the Lily Gladstone and Kristen Stewart's chapter,
Yeah,
but even that second chapter, the one that I think gets the least amount of credit with Michelle Williams,
don't even fucking
such a
start.
simple chapter,
Yeah,
but one that is just weirdly haunting and so sad,
I
so dreadful.
it's funny enough, the scene that I think about most in that movie, which you would immediately think, "Oh, little gay queer," you'd be thinking about Kristen Stewart and Lily Gladstone horseback, but it's actually funny enough that her and her husband trying to convince the man if they can take his, like, rubble
Yeah, the
outside,
rocks, right?
and it's like, I don't think many films at all ever capture, like, every single like, he has no idea what the fuck is happening. Like, he doesn't really understand, like, the husband f like, the way and I've never seen that motherfucker in a movie, like, he feels bad for the thought of even asking,
Yeah.
and, like, she is, like, just trying to get across to him. The juggernaut of a fucking movie,
Yeah,
though.
no, it's so simple yet so powerful, and
I
that's why
agree.
I hope that one day when we do a Kelly Reichardt video, when she disowns Israel, we can we'll hop into it.
Yeah.
Um, One that you haven't seen that
Uh-oh.
I'll make you watch one day, Saint Omer. Alice
Yeah.
Diop, I believe a documentary filmmaker. Saint Omer wrecked me. in a way where it still kind of sits with me. And there's certain things in the movie. I think, truthfully, that's a movie where there are very few examples of movies that like I've seen that you haven't, where
Yeah.
I like love it unabashedly, and I feel like you would like it more. I think if you watch Saint Omer, that'd be like one of your favorites of all time.
Okay, I was actually gonna ask earlier in the episode, would you have counted Resurrection? Like in any of these two categories?
Yeah, for sure. But Resurrection, without saying too much, there are
Yeah.
instances in that film that are a bit more tied to spirituality.
Mm,
But
okay.
I don't think that's also giving the full hand. I just need you to watch it, and then we'll
Do
have
you
a
think I will
conversation.
love it more than you?
I think we can just hold hands.
Okay.
I think we can hold hands.
Beautifully said. All
I
right.
think
Sorry.
when you see it, I will elaborate if you remind me to why I'm answering the way I am. But I will say this: we will find different things to grab from that movie,
Sure.
and
Okay.
you will understand more when
I
you
will
watch it.
watch it soon.
First Reformed. I think
Mm,
about that movie a lot, and
mm,
maybe not in a sense where I think about it in a way where I'm like, I'm gonna watch it, and that's my favorite movie of all time. But in a sense where like so many palpable, meaningful, and timely messaging
mm.
and interaction, and I think about that Ethan Hawke performance, and obviously I think about the ending, and I think about so many
Yeah.
scenes in that movie. Yeah, I mean, we both talk about First Reformed sparingly, but I do think that movie is one where, with time, it's gonna get more haunting, more important.
I agree. I agree.
I wish Schrader was a better dude. I wish Schrader wasn't such a hack for AI and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
at the very least, he made a very powerful, powerful work with First Reformed. And the last one I'll mention, actually, I'm sorry, last two I'll mention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nope. Yeah.
Oh
I think at the
shit.
time I got so caught up in the fanfare, in the talking points, and the conversation aspect of Nope, and the understanding it.
Mhm.
But when I think about it, fun time. I think about a lot of great things about that film, and I really want to revisit it and just let it envelop me and let me
Yeah.
have fun. I hope, my hope is next Jordan Peele, they re-release it for IMAX. It was so, so good in IMAX. I
Yeah.
want to see it again. My first time watching it at Irvine Spectrum. Great theater to watch it in, the biggest IMAX screen in California. I
Mhm.
want to see it again there. Please bring it back. I would love that. But yeah, great film. So much powerful,
Agreed.
much,
Agreed.
yeah. Last one. And one that also I think has some tie with Mother Mary, and also can be related to the previous question of spirituality, Under the Skin. I think I think about that movie a lot. A lot, a
Interesting.
lot. The way it's
Interesting.
framed, the way it's visually put together, the impromptu real life conversations of Scarlett Johansson, the people on the street,
Mhm.
the disfigured man,
Mhm.
the ending of it, the it's just such a crass human but also alien film.
Mhm.
I mean, no one in our audience needs to hear me gloat more about Jonathan Glazer, and as of now, that's my least favorite Jonathan Glazer, but I think on a rewatch, that one can skyrocket too.
You would even put Sexy Beast above?
Maybe just recency
Oh,
bias, but I do think that in the moment I enjoyed Sexy Beast more because there is a lull in Under the Skin where I'm kind of bored of it.
yeah.
But I think on a rewatch with a more cleansed palate, more developed frontal lobe, I'd really appreciate what Under the Skin's doing. There is a scene in that movie. Have you seen it before?
I have long, 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 long time
Do you
ago,
remember
though.
the scene by the beach?
No.
There's a scene by the beach that's like the most fucked up thing of all time. Like
They
of
go
all
in the
time.
water, no? Like,
What?
they, like, walk into the water?
Kinda.
Kinda? Okay.
Most fucked up thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I think about that a lot. I think about that movie a lot.
Okay.
A big simmer for sure.
Okay, yeah, and funny enough, a very kismet duology between composers with Levi, who
Mi
rarely ever composes. I'm
Mika.
almost certain they've own and what's funny is, like, for, like, Zone of Interest, one of the most haunting scores there ever is,
Wow.
has, like, 3 tracks in that movie,
Yeah.
and then does Jackie, and then that's it, you know?
Yeah, Jackie, Under the Skin, and then, there's, like, one other thing, it's like a documentary or something. I don't know,
Yeah.
they're out of this world though, for
Talk
sure.
about documentaries, fuck that shit. We're here to document what it was like watch I'm sorry, I'm trying to get better with these
These
segues.
transitions.
I I guess I wanna ask you
Talk to me.
what either you could choose here, choose your own adventure.
Ooh.
You could talk about your thoughts about Mother Mary. You could talk about
Why did I introduce the film before we did that whatever, anyways, go ahead.
because I wanted to detail because then it would have felt weird to be like, "Oh, we'd come out of a film that we haven't even talked about what the plot is," given that the whole simmering notion was
Sure,
built off
sure,
of it
because it's
after.
simmering, sure.
I wanna ask though, do you are you feeling any different than you did last night about the movie?
Ooh.
Or do you feel the same And I guess because you had brought up a very fascinating posit about this movie and the idea of being a pop culture fandom and the idea of an icon being put into film, do you think this could make for a really good triple feature with Trap and Smile too?
Because
Take your time. Take
there's
your
like
time.
14. You said two, but there's like 14 multi-complex questions. I don't think it'd be a bad triple feature, but I think there are for sure better ones. I do think, I said it earlier, I think this would be a really interesting pairing with Lady in the Water. Um,
Uh-huh.
and I
Yeah.
think that because for without going too much into spoilers, like the film notoriously, I mean, you can look at like the most popular letterbox reviews talking about how like Michaela Cole's talking in like Shakespearean text. The movie's very on the nose and very cryptic, while also being very like
Yeah.
allegorical and metaphorical with its text and how
Mhm.
it's written. Are you taking a picture of
I
me?
am. You look really good. You look real good.
As you can see my underwear, and I look like a little queer boy.
I
What
can't
the
help that the
fuck?
donut light makes you look so good.
The fact that you were taking it to each other, I was like, "Are you texting?" anyways,
Talking
um,
about your lupus diagnosis as they snap a pic. I'm sorry.
Mother Mary is one where it is so on the nose, haunting, ethereal, and kind of it's hard to pinpoint for a lot of reasons. It feels like a stage play at times. It feels so away from what we know visual filmmaking to be on a mainstream level. It
Mhm,
feels kind of back to this era of A24 where they're taking genuine swings and not just eat the rich, please. Um,
mhm.
it feels like a very fascinating film to pause it right now. And I think that Smile 2 works so well because it's electric, because it's taking so many conventional things and amplifying it to 4 times, and I think Trap is just a genuine good ride the entire time. Mother Mary is so much more meditative, it's so much more
Yeah.
it feels like you're exhaling something
Mm,
like a bad omen inside you, which is very fitting for the film. I think that works out perfectly, and I think it's in tandem with Lady in the Water with how it crescendos into something so emotional
mhm.
and so cathartic by the end of it. I think it'd be a very interesting, emotional, spiritual, and honestly, a very fitting double feature. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, even though David Lowery brought up his influences, he actually was missing Lady in the Water, which he truly was shadow
Yeah,
influenced by.
yeah.
But I do think the films are so on the nose about belief in mythos and creating a narrative,
Mhm.
but also like achieving the narrative and making things with what you don't have. Like there's something very interesting to be said about like that interaction where like I think Michaela Cole says like they're just objects, like the meaning is assigned to us, like
Yeah.
that's what makes them objects, and how a big plot point in Lady in the Water is I have to find these people in my apartment complex that fulfill this stereotype, this genre
Mhm.
stereotype. I don't know, it's like it feels weirdly kind of fitting. Maybe it's just because it's very much playing on this idea of conventional storytelling tropes and whatnot, and both films are very
Yeah.
much ingrained in that. But I do think to definitively answer your question, I think it worked for a fine pop star triple feature with Trap and Smile 2, but I think there's definitely double or even a triple features that would be so much more meditative and more effective for what that film is trying to do. Not to say that you're discrediting any of that,
No,
because I know that you
and I couldn't disagree more at all.
disagree.
I couldn't disagree. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, you're right.
What?
I couldn't actually fucking go fuck yourself.
Oh, oh.
Uh, I only bring those 3 up because this is what I think is very fascinating about this video is this feels far more, even though I think I gleaned a bit more in terms of the enjoyment I had from this movie more than you. I think this is a movie that is tailored to the realm of what you know on a knowledge level
Mm.
about pop star fame. I mean, that was like, I won't disclose to the public what the fuck one of your film ideas was. Um, but that like mind you, that was like one of the first flavors that I ever got to lick off of you. Like that was like what is in this person's head? Do you have any real rationale behind this new wave of one art form bleeding literally directly into a new like into film where it is these films now which are of prodigious filmmakers, and I say that relative like there's Shyamalan, but like you have Parker Finn in three different genres, all about in some way the backdrop of a pop star in the text of the film. Is it just truly the increase in the popularity of the icon of an artist, or
Mm,
like, and maybe I should have asked you that before, but I guess like I was realizing during this that like before that I can't really think of a movie, not to say that's never been done before, but like these are movies that are linked to seeing a pop star on a stage and that be so much of the movie,
yeah.
or they, whether it's a smile curse, the relationship between being a killer and a dad at a concert, but also the layers with Shyamalan and his
Sure,
daughter.
it's a consistent backdrop. You can't
Sure.
deny that.
Is there any read you have on that?
Yes and no. I think that a lot of it boils down to Taylor Swift. And that might seem like an oversimplification, but like Taylor Swift just had the most successful tour ever. And I think that has something to be said about
Mhm.
truthfully, like there is an audience for these things in terms of people who genuinely worship these pop stars.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, worship has always been an idea or theme played upon in film. Like that's been one of the biggest things forever, whether
Yeah.
it's worshiping an artist, worshiping an idea, or whatever it may be. I think that worship is always something that like we as people are fascinated by because it's directly tied to religion, it's directly tied to God, it's directly tied to essentially like true faith in believing in something that might not fully be there or an
Mhm.
idea of something rather, right? You're
Mhm.
chasing something or you're wanting something, this idea.
Yeah.
Now, why it's become so consistent, I'm not sure. I mean, we talked about why David Lowery got the idea from Mother Mary. His tooth fucking cracked. Like
Yeah.
at this point, who knows where he got the idea from?
Sure.
However, I do think that there is something to be said about how music videos are kind of bleeding more into like filmic feeling
Mhm.
and obviously directors or film directors have always directed music videos. That's not like an uncommon thing,
Yeah.
but there is something to be said about like Taylor Swift and bear with me, Euphoria. I do think Euphoria fundamentally changed what the modern day music video and the modern day look for certain things look like.
Mhm.
And obviously, that's a huge credit to Euphoria's visual style. Although now I think it's a bit overdone. I think it's just because everything is trying to look like Euphoria. And so,
Sure.
by proxy, what that means is you're getting all of this overlap between music audiences and film audiences.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
huge pop star that I follow, Florence and the Machine, quietly like will give like filmic filmic references or like filmic inspirations for her album rollouts, right? To give to her fans and say like these are the films that inspired the making of this album or like the visual concept of this album. Like it's
Mhm.
very much a common thing. Like even people like motherfuckers like Jack Harlow, who isn't even in the pop sphere at all,
Yeah.
are giving filmic inspirations for his most recent rap album, which he brings up Birth. What? Yeah, yeah, I was shocked too. Anyways,
Absolutely not.
my point in saying that is I think that there's always this idea of there's a mask beyond what's actually going on. So that's a perfect, blueprint for a pop star film is you have this pop star who has to be something, has to emulate something, has to
Yeah.
be the embodiment of whether it be heartbreak or girl power or just powerfulness or a certain whatever emotion their audience is latching on to that pop star has to be that in a performative setting.
Yeah.
So there is a
Excuse me.
mask going on
Mhm.
above everything that's going on. And the whole thing of Smile 2 is you have this girl who is a recovering addict who is going through something genuinely horrifying, but also ties in directly with her like lack of control in terms of drug abuse and whatnot, and how she
Yeah.
can be relapsing as a drug user, and how that's secretly going on and trying to bring back into this comeback tour that she's trying to embark on, or a trap, right? Like this idea of living two lives of you have the pop star, but you also have the human behind the pop
Yeah.
star, the killer and the dad and stuff like that. With Mother Mary, it's so supplanted in pop stardom to a degree that I don't even think Trap or Smile 2 touches, which not to say that that was even their prerogative in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah.
Mother Mary is almost how can we how can we design this this thorough map of what it feels like to be someone with so much power, whether that be artistically or
Hmm.
influence wise, as I say, a Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
You have this power, and you're meant to exemplify this clear definition of otherworldliness, of beyond the average human.
Hmm.
Yet you are struggling with something so undescribable, or something you can't even understand yourself. Um, all that to say, not really an answer, but more so just the fact that I think Taylor Swift, that rise, that demand, that monopoly over general audiences, and how that can fascinate people who wanna write stories of, okay, you have this person who truthfully has if Taylor Swift was like, "Honestly, I want all my fans to vote blue," she could probably swing an entire
You ever
election.
think about that? Like, I do think about that a lot. Like, the thought of like on the most selfish of level, like, what if Justin Bieber went like on an Instagram posted like follow Cinephile ASMR? My
Yeah,
life would change.
your life
Like,
would change forever.
I would never look back.
Yeah,
And just the thought of like if someone actually just said like the simple concept of like Taylor Swift saying like free Palestine,
the ceasefire immediately.
without question.
Quadrillion%. That's the crazy thing, is like you have someone with so much power, so much influence. Debatably, Taylor Swift is more powerful than the president.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
motherfuckers, these crazy fans, crazy in good ways and crazy in bad ways.
yeah.
These crazy fans, if they want to achieve something, they're going to achieve it, especially with the
Hmm.
mass amount of them that there are. These people are relentless, and so if you can harness that power for good, it's a it's a crazy thing. It's just a crazy
No, it
thing.
is a crazy thing, and I guess like I won't get too deep into it, but like the concept of like Swift amassing such a fucking movement in the moment to where literally like the existence of speaking and advocacy for people for the anti-genocide. It is so interesting the way that like the easy thought would be like it don't matter like she will lose millions of people, but will that actually matter? But then it would like the trickle down effect to where like the existence of Taylor Swift, like bringing so many people to events, and then the businesses around those places, like it is insane to me the ripples that it would have. But like, yeah, people are insane.
Yeah, it's just I think that the modern day pop star harnesses so much power, whether it be through social media or whether it
Mhm,
just be strictly through artistic merit, that I think that it's prime time to make a film or make a story
sure.
about it. I think that, and this is honestly kind of feels like this is going to be like the defining blueprint for what people will watch if they ever want to make a film about a pop star, about a musician, about
Mm,
someone with that much standing. Mother Mary feels like a film that they would have to watch to understand, okay, like how can we build out the mythos to a pop star? And it almost this is what Mother Mary is it's almost aligning a mythos and creating this idea of what it means to be a pop star, but also it's doing a million other things as well, whether it be visually or thematically. I've said a gospel of words.
sure,
What did you think about Mother Mary?
sure. Um, I think it is so fascinating to me how I have so heavily found my love in filmmakers that are always the people and the bastions of either dreaming more, feeling more, loving more, living more. Um, but I do think that like when it comes to my very specific tailored feelings and relationship to my own spirituality, I've said so many times on this podcast, I've said more times than I will ever on this podcast to you about the term like a movie this movie feels spiritual.
Mhm.
And I think like I'm so willing and gracious to say that because I think my belief system is found in the movies I watch. And the stirring of my soul is made through those moments. I even brought up in The Mummy, which is a night and day sort of feeling that I have towards that movie versus this, right?
Mhm.
Really like that absolutely was head over heels with this movie, but I go into every film that is new with an excitement because it is an opportunity to actually like breathe and to cry and then therapy has helped me get to points where I feel comfortable within myself to relinquish these feelings that I shouldn't have. But like I think it will forever just be in my DNA and I don't think it's an unhealthy thing, but like there's just times in movies that aren't even like I can rationally pinpoint why it's making me cry that I'm just gone. And I think even rarer than that is movies that make me want to continue the journey that I have had in the spiritual lane that I have been like diving into. And I say that because I think David Lowery, 3, I guess like he has like 7 or 8 films, but like 3 that really only matter,
3 that
you know,
matter.
um, has progressively ascribed these ideas of fables and storybook-like ways of writing his movies. And where one, like with The Green Knight, makes sense because of it being in a time centuries ago, he with this movie when I came out of Mother Mary made me realize the need that I have and the hunger but also the everlasting thirst that will never be quenched that I will always want to be quenched to be in a spiritual state of belief. And I think it is a lot to deal with the fact that I grew up in a house that is even more so now than I was growing up in it, like doubled down in rigidity as the basis for their faith system. And for me, like, I have found organized religion almost oxymoronic to the meaning of spirituality, which
Mhm.
is it is everything but nothing, and it is what you make of it and what you don't, and what you cherry pick. And for me, like, when I had finished Mother Mary, and the way that like thinking about the ethereal, the ghost like, the imagery, the idea of positioning a star and an icon with Mother Mary and Sam Adelson, her costume designer, when it finished, it made me really miss the few moments that I've ever had in my life where I felt truly unbothered by all of my external living situations and just be in one moment of just tandem comfort with myself, with my tarot deck. And that is something that, like, I will say I have always kind of been chasing with the people around me. And I think that's like something that I've been wanting. And I think the way this movie fascinatingly never fully embellishes itself in this what you could consider being a love affair between these two people, but it never fully immerses it and to a point where you realize that isn't the point of the film at all.
Yeah.
But like you feel and I think that's the thing that this motherfucker gets. And it's a thing that actually pisses me off because it's like I'm gonna die and I maybe we'll never be able to get there. Whereas like a moment of a shot where you see Anne Hathaway as as Sam remarks about the scar on her back. And you feel all these things, and I think like it to me, obviously, like Lowry wasn't writing this with this fucker on the Beneflicks pod in mind, but like everything that was happening in this movie felt tangibly like something I feel, whether it be that feeling of like how can I say I'm sorry? And like how can an apology go the distance to mend the fences that you have burned so indubitably so with people in your life that you care about?
Mm.
Um but it also just shows the fact that like and I know like you and me have a very different relationship to the idea of spirituality, but like I still have the photo of the card that I pulled right before we shot praise, but like every single time, literally right before I agreed to myself to shoot next stop, I always do a spread every
Mhm.
single time. And that like we always talk about like the movies that we'll watch right before we make something and like that being the North Star, but that is the true compass that navigates me. And I think it's the thought of like not the thought of never being able to believe or people who don't believe, like I fundamentally cannot. And it's out of fear, I will 100% admit, because like without it, like I wouldn't be a person who wakes up jazzed to record, to engage, because then at the end of the day, what is it for? I know like nihilism is like there's no point in it at all, so just enjoy it while you have it, but like I
Mm.
cannot do that. And so watching a movie that is literally up to a certain point where you realize like there these two people who have been hurt and hurted each other come together, but and I think that's why the writing worked so much for me, where it just felt like a pure dispel of word vomit, where that will only get them so far, where they then have to go back to the stories of the divine and the lack of clarity to provide them a clarity forward that just like it fucking rocked me, dude. Like I it's 2 times in and like it is a true gem of a movie that like I don't know how David Lowery did it, but like him writing and directing and editing this, like it makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But no, dude, like I came out of this and I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. And like, like you are right. Like Dry Leaf is the best movie of the year. I mean, it's a lifetime of a movie,
Very much so.
and one that like we are currently in the moment of before we can put the chapter of what our next project will be. But like without it, I don't know. I don't know where you would be. I don't know where I would feel. But this like there is something in it, and it reminded me so much of Cloud Atlas in the way that like it spiritually roused me, and that is the thing that like there's ones that make me feel good as a person. There's things that make me feel good as a creative, but like the ones that are able to spiritually rouse me, and I can like attain. You know what? I'm not gonna make anything like this, but it is the fuel that I need to make something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just fucking aces, dog.
100%.
But you got to sleep on this. Did that change at all your feelings towards this movie? Did it make you grasp on things that you maybe weren't really thinking
Mm,
about when we talked about it last night?
no, but what I will say is, like, I came out of it loving it, and I came out of today, of like, a sleeping shift, whatever. Um, I like it a bit more. I'm still, pretty confidently thinking it's just great. 4 out of 5 for me, like,
Mhm.
very much loved it and loved the experience, but I am thinking a lot more about just its structure.
Yeah.
It's structured very interestingly, like, 100%, like, it feels disjointed, but, like, in a good way.
Mhm.
I'm thinking about the ending a lot and
Yeah.
how it's kind of subdued, but also perfectly not subdued.
Yeah.
Um Performances. I do think Anne Hathaway is both of them are terrific, but I do think Anne Hathaway is just a powerhouse in this film. I really, I
Mhm.
guess I'm unfamiliar with her game. I guess I can only really think about her performance as Catwoman to really,
Sure. Sure.
but yeah, no, she's super talented. Michaela Cole, obviously not familiar with her game at all. It felt like I was kind of watching like the Joker and Harley Quinn. That was
Okay.
kind of the vibe I
Okay.
was getting with those two.
I'm
Uh,
assuming Michaela Cole is the
the
Joker.
Joker, baby.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Her
Um,
eyes do things in this movie that are just get away from me.
yeah, no, 100%. There's that like a lot of good like oh, fuck, what's it called? Like not stuttering, like when your jaw kind of moves, like when you're sad.
Quiver.
Quiver,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
good quivering from Anne
Yeah.
Hathaway. Just a very, I don't know. It's one that's kind of it's hard to speak about because it very much like it feels like a spiritual journey. Like it feels
Yeah.
like people will watch this. A reviewer that I follow, George Carmi,
Yeah.
watched it,
Didn't fuck with it at
didn't
all.
really fuck with it, and that's fine. But a lot of people that we do follow are fucking with it, which I'm happy to hear.
Yeah.
It feels very much like it can be a film that you watch and you can admire for its technical aspects, which is phenomenal score,
Yeah.
phenomenally shot. It's I mean, I'm not one to sit here and spill like, please get award or Academy not recognition, but it'd be so
Yeah.
cool if this got a nomination for costume design. I mean, that's the whole point of the
Sure.
fucking movie.
Yeah.
A lot of cool like mise en scène, like production design. The sound design is also pretty underrated in this film. Like not even from like the songs or concert settings, but like
Like the house.
when she's walking on the wood doing her
Mhm.
dance, it sounds good.
I have a question for you
Talk to me.
because it feels like what I'm about to say is like stepping into shoes that are not my size because
Mm,
writing is something that I will be an admirer of. Like I don't think almost 23 years on this earth. Like I don't see myself as ever really being a writer, but it's a thing that I will always appreciate, especially if you are a good writer. And I have
mm,
read a lot of things you have written, and one of the things that you are is committed and bold. Like I will say, like
bold.
unapologetically to a point where I'm like, get the fuck out of here, Santero. So it's like, do you ever watch something and it affirms your journey as a writer in the commitment that you have in the writing you've done? Because, like, I'll take for example,
Chappie.
his mullet. Did you say Chappie?
No, chat with me.
Oh, I think. I'm
I'm not
sorry.
referencing the Hugh Jackman film Chappie.
Without getting too in depth, you wrote something that involved cocoons.
I did.
And reading that, that's just again, like I have to look at that realistically as a part aspiring producer, and I'm like, where the fuck?
What?
How much Vaseline am I gonna get into? What actor is gonna agree to this? But you wrote it, and
Sure.
it's. I guess the two-parter would be: do you ever, as you are writing in the process of writing, be like, this is too much? Do you ever look at it in the logical side of your brain, or do you always write with the emotional and then comma? Do you ever watch something that, again, there's moments in this where like Michaela Cole is talking about, she's like quite literally, this is gonna get strange, but walk with me, and talks about a tooth be her back molar tooth cracking being the sign for her to let go.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch something, or I guess technically hear it, and be like, that's exactly the kind of shit that like fuels my belly to keep writing the way that I do?
Yeah, 100%. I think oftentimes I gravitate to writing a bit more than like directing in terms of how I want to do something.
Mm-hmm.
My example being like there was a stint in time after watching Funny Enough Lady in the Water where I was like, you can get away with writing pretty on the nose stuff and it's still emotionally powerful. Like
Yeah.
you could write a line like, your faces remind me of God.
Yeah.
And that my favorite line ever maybe in
Yeah.
anything ever it hits me to my core and of
Yeah.
course it's on the nose and of course it's very much grandiose and maybe it's a bit too pompous but I think it works really not only for the film but just
Mm-hmm.
for the emotional impact. This film obviously is very much speaking a lot of metaphoricals but when things like that where she's like basically like talks to the audience almost directly like bear with me or
Yeah.
it's funny because I find maybe maybe it's just us. Maybe it's just a very select few people that we hang out with. But I talk like that in like
Yeah.
day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And I think that hearing things like that where people because obviously if you were to write as how people actually talk in real life, it would
Yeah.
be kind of a grading process. Not only to
Mhm.
do it, but to actually sit there and watch it. Because
Mhm.
the whole fun about movies is there's a level of escapism. Granted, the whole naturalistic side of certain films, one I haven't seen, but I can imagine because I saw a clip, and I mean, you're gonna preach, you're gonna scream. But like castration movie, for example,
Yeah.
which is so much improvisation,
Mhm.
so many long takes of non-actors,
Yeah.
it feels very natural. It feels very much like just people talking.
Yeah.
There's a real admiration I have for that. And so when things like that are written, which I can tell it's a written line where she's like, bear with me or walk with me, or this is gonna get strange, but just come along for the ride.
Yeah.
I'm kind of affirmed as a writer to be like, I can write how I actually talk, and although it might seem a bit janky to someone who doesn't know my speech patterns,
Yeah.
I can at least be reassured in knowing that like I'm not writing that because I like need a character to communicate something a certain way for
Mhm.
the sake of like exposition. I'm writing like that because that's how I actually talk. Like
Yeah.
you can write in ways that are actually consistent with people in your life speak.
Yeah.
I think nowadays too, people have a better understanding of how to talk with more clarity and how to talk with more quote unquote like gentle parenting. The whole idea of, for example, like if you were to write two characters going through a breakup or at least going through a fight, you can get away with now a modern day couple writing a situation where they're like, I feel this way because you did
Mhm.
this, which makes me feel like this, which is the whole classic, like how to properly navigate an argument. You can convincingly write that now in a script, and that's just your average modern day couple who has an understanding of conversation cues and
Yeah.
how to properly communicate with one another. My
Yeah.
point in saying that is, yes, I do feel that all the time with how certain things are written. Obviously, like there's a certain understanding of where uhs and ums and likes will be placed for kind of spacing
Yeah.
purposes for an actor, but also just that gives a character more fleshed out talking. In terms of commitment or being bold, I guess like I'm reaffirmed in the sense where like I really do need to watch Castration movie because I'm trying to think about like it's not just a you thing. Like that movie
Mhm.
is for the most part pretty universally praised as being one of the best of last year. So it's not
Yeah.
just a Liz thing that you've latched onto. Like it's a genuinely well accoladed film, and it sounds like there's a crazy amount of swings. I mean, runtime alone, that's
Yeah.
fucking ridiculous, especially for a no budget all queer led film.
Mhm.
I say that all to say the filmmakers, indie filmmakers, young filmmakers, queer filmmakers, filmmakers who don't have a lot at their disposal, who are taking swings. What's our excuse?
Yeah.
We're not dirt poor. We have some semblance of money. We have a
Mhm.
space to rehearse. We are close enough to the city of opportunity.
Mhm.
We don't really have an excuse to not experiment and to not be bold and to not commit.
Yeah.
So why would I not do that in the first place? The only semblance of logistic that I think about when I'm writing funny enough, is setting. More
Mhm.
so, like, I'm not gonna sit here and write a film in the Antarctic because god fucking damn it,
Yeah.
I cannot request time off of work for more than 2 days, right? How the fuck are we gonna
Sure.
get to
Yeah.
Nebraska to emulate Antarctica, right?
Yeah.
Um, and oftentimes I think that's a good way and a good in for me to get inspired with certain things is, for example, Praise, when I wrote Praise, it was because I knew I had a cabin at my disposal,
Yeah.
or at least someone a semblance of I knew Big Bear was a form of reality that I was familiar with, right? Like I
Mhm.
knew it was possible. Obviously, when I originally wrote Praise, it wasn't even with a cabin in mind, it was with my house.
Yeah.
So I think I very much think about setting when I think about logistics, but in terms of ideas or actually pulling them off, as gonna be brash, maybe a very tone deaf thing to say, but mama didn't raise no pussy. I have to be bold, you know,
True.
and you know more than that than me almost because Next Stop is something that's no budget. It
Yeah.
was along for the ride and it was perfectly yourself while also being a huge artistic swing that many people probably won't even care to watch or finish.
Yeah.
Yet that
Yeah.
doesn't matter to you. It was just about finishing it because it was so important in your identity journey, but also just your journey as a creative to create something that was Next Stop. So you
100%.
have to be bold. You have to commit to things that might not work, and you have to just be authentically yourself and what you know, which
Yeah.
is, I guess, a big tie-in for why I admire Mother Mary so much because there's a very easy universe where this exists where someone can be mocking and pointing fingers at the intrinsic obsession with pop stars and how people can
Yeah.
worship these icons. David Lowery doesn't really go into that at all because it's not really of his concern. It's a movie about grief, about understanding one another, about understanding yourself, about letting go of something harmful, but
Yeah.
also about understanding your friend, about understanding some of your past,
Yeah.
but also about the actual iconography and inner workings of a pop star, about a star of I don't know. I think that commitment is so important in art, and I think that if we're not applauding the films that do commit hardcore, which Mother Mary is that in spades, we're
Mhm.
doing ourselves a disservice about people who enjoy the art that they're creating.
For sure. And I mean, terrific answer. I guess I posed the question because there are the certain grouping of films that you watch and you see the people on screen. And I guess it's also imbued by the fact that like you see clips of them talking about the film. But it's like, what an honor to do something and for a director to communicate what it is that they wrote and like everyone is just on the same page,
Yeah,
you know? And like we have had such a limited experience when it has been with working with actors, but it's something that like I know exists and I know that like there are people that are starved for art and like I know that like that idea is going to populate 1,000 lifetimes in my own head of like getting to do something that is so specific and so niche and it's like just something that like I know there will be people that could echo the same sentiment like Michaela Cole does and what Anne Hathaway does and the script is so specific but also universal and like I would love to get my hand on the script. It would be I hope they do like that hardcover thing that A24 does with like the releases of their screenplays because like
yeah,
it's how do you write certain things and how do you orchestrate that to then be something? Because it's like, to my knowledge, when it comes to like big A-list actors, a lot of it is like they get sent the script and then they speak with the director, or they get the fortune of getting to have like a lunch with them, getting to talk about it and getting to flesh it out before they even read anything on page. But like it inspires me so much because it's not something that I ever want to involve myself in. Like I've written a couple things that I would love to make, but like I don't ever I've always found writing to be the gluttonous thing, like the one of the most gluttonous parts of making a movie because you are writing for yourself, and a lot of times, like, I am doing it to heal the wounds, and I wish I could yeah, I use these characters as people that are personifications of what I wish I could say assuredly or have said or will say, um, and a lot of times, like, I've written and I will never let that l see the light of day because sometimes that isn't even the point. But, like, you are totally right because, like, I've thought about a lot of, like, maybe, like, most recently, First Man, like, I doubt Chazelle was a huge aerospace astronaut lover, and,
sure.
like, funny enough, the thought dawned on me having the privilege of seeing Speed Racer I really do not think Lana and Lily are car chicks, dog. Like, but funny enough, like that is the car movie. Like that is like
Yeah,
all the car heads put it behind like trap music and trap edits. Like it is the car movie, but it's not about cars, but that is the backdrop for talking about the capitalistic machine and pursuing what you want. This about a pop star, but more so what happens when you let those relationships be frayed and when you distance yourself from someone, but also the spiritual way forward to it all. And when it's said and done, it's really, again, like my mom has taught me a lot in my life that I had with her, but like she says, like, you don't even have to know what you're saying, but if you say it with enough conviction, you will convince everybody, and that's all that matters.
true.
And like, it to me is a film that just fucking rocked me, dude. And I'm so glad that we're able to experience it and like
Theatrically, for sure.
and I'm hoping by the time we can release this because technically I can say it because I see it, the poster in your room and the filmmaker involved, we were going to make that be the episode for this week.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm so thankful that like and it's and this is something that I don't fucking understand to me either. I never even watched a single trailer for Mother Mary. In fact, I think we were even responding to Simon's email about movies that we're looking forward to this year, and like Mother Mary was brought up, and I still at that point hadn't seen a single trailer for it. They existed, but like it wasn't being backed behind any movie that was playing in a theater. You
Yeah,
can
not
correct me if I'm
much
wrong.
marketing.
Like the drama just came out. That would have been a perfect opportunity to promote a movie that has Jack Antonoff, Charlie, FKA, Hunter, all these people that are very much in the now.
Yeah, I think I've seen like I think I've seen the trailer in theaters like 1 or 2 times, but I think
Mm.
one of the times it was For the Moment, which is a Charlie XCX
Oh,
A24 film.
okay.
And I'm trying to remember if it was before the drama. I'm not entirely sure. I'm shocked that it wasn't because the Backrooms trailer played for
No, I
before
know.
Mother Mary. So I mean, now they
I
have some
I
with.
don't understand either. Like, and it's not like there's some big concern. I mean, if Christopher Borgli is getting the full send marketing crew as he wrote a letter apologizing or being an anyway, um,
Anyways,
I did yeah, just a terrific movie and one that like it makes me happy to just exist and to know that spirituality is there. And it's funny because I doubt my parents even know that like I am wanting to be spiritual at all.
mm,
Because when it comes to conversing with them, it's always I'm shut off because I'm completely shut off from their viewpoint of spirituality.
hmm
And I think like the wedding of both and I hope too. I mean like in next stop, like I try to imbue things as much as I can, like the overlay of the card and everything like that. And like to me it takes I guess a level of conviction. But I guess it's such an interesting and I'll try to flesh this out as best as I can say it. I think we as audiences, without applying too much thought to things, make something so much more mystified than it actually is in
mm,
the regard of like, how the fuck do they do that? Because it's like you're going on a whim, right? Like again, I don't think David Lowery was like, man, I hope this lands for people. He was making it. Like truly, I do believe this was a one for him kind of joint, and it just so happened to work for me, and it just so happened to work for you. But when it's said and done, like we really or sorry, I won't include you in this. I ascribe so much fucking weight to filmmakers' choices when it comes to the swings they make, when in reality, it's just them acting off of feeling.
yeah,
And that to me is like, fuck, man, I wish I could pull something off like that. We already have, dude. Like,
true.
again, not to say that I think Praise is a resounding masterpiece, but like what I will give you is there are certain things in that where I try as best as I can to separate myself being involved in, and I just watch it, and I'm like, we did light that shit. Like we lit that shit. Like
Yeah,
we
and especially that like we didn't really have like it's funny when when I think about like obviously like I think any director who's directed something like low budget, like extreme low budget with very
yeah
minimum cast and crew, the fact that like I was running around like gaffing the
yeah
film I was supposed to be
yeah
directing, like I don't know, and the fact that like we basically abandoned the storyboard
yeah
or the shot list like after day one,
yeah
and like a lot of it was based off intuition and what we thought was gonna work, and a lot of it was so on the fly. I mean, there was a day where we shot that, and it was the one scene we shot outside,
yeah
and there was just I don't even know if there's an airport nearby us, but there were so many fucking planes
yeah
every 2 seconds. Like, and obviously because we're high up in the mountains and there's not much sound around us,
yeah
we had to wait for the plane to leave a good distance before there was no more audio, and then
Mhm.
another one would arrive right after.
Exactly.
Just
Exactly.
we had to aim so much off of feeling and intuition and in the moment decision making.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny that praise gets brought up because like I don't think about praise a lot in terms of like as a film. I think a lot more as like an experience, which I think you can relate to,
Yeah.
and not even fully as like a learning experience to make a movie, but also just like as an experience of finding myself and finding the people
Yeah.
around me and their strengths and their weaknesses and who I want to surround myself with, which I think is the best thing that film can do, whether it's making or watching, is
Yeah.
who do you want to surround yourself with and who are the people you want to keep along for the journey, right? And
Mhm.
how fitting for that to be a movie like Mother Mary, which is about remending or attempting to mend an
Yeah.
old fractured relationship.
And I mean, exceptional fun. Like, I sadly like I know when we look back, there I will probably pick a moment or two from this movie, but like it is a movie where like the ending really is just unbelievably like just hitting, and you earn it so much. And I guess funny enough, I one of the only films this series we've done on our podcast where like we actually haven't spoiled the shit out of it in the first 5 minutes of us talking about it.
Yeah, no, I don't think this film like I obviously there's so much to spoil, but there's something weird about
Yeah,
the plot points in this
yeah,
movie and how like they're not like things don't happen to me where you're like, oh, like that needs to be talked
yeah.
about. It needs to be felt and
Experience,
experienced.
yeah.
If you're able to, please go watch Mother Mary in the theater. It
Hmm.
sounds terrific. It looks terrific. It's meant to be seen on the big screen.
Yeah,
If not, which I'm not shocked because this movie doesn't have super wide of a
no,
theatrical release. But if you're able to see Mother Mary at all, please do yourself a favor. Go in blind if you're able to.
yeah.
Especially like don't look at any spoilers or plot synopsises or just go in blind. It's not super long of a film. It is a bit slower and a bit more dialogue heavy. However, if it hits you, it's going to hit you pretty hard.
100%.
Um, and we always are kind of gloating about supporting films that take swings and films from directors who care about what they're trying to actually put onto screen.
Yeah.
David Lowery is, I can't say I've connected with much of what that guy has made, but he is genuinely doing things differently, which is exciting to see, especially from a filmmaker who is, for the most part, pretty financially successful in terms of like a tour sense. So
Literally. And I mean, in 2026, and mileage varies to this statement because I know some people don't watch movies nearly enough as like you and me do, but the mere concept of like a movie really unfolding imagery that has never been put to screen before,
yeah,
and it looks as good as it does, I truly am like really like shooting for this movie, if for anything, so people can experience something that is wholly original. And like for $20 million, like this, everything that this movie is doing looks fantastic and it feels even better. And
yeah.
I think like
You
all
said 20,000,000?
mhm.
That's really good.
No, I know.
Yeah,
For everything that it's doing and especially the talent behind it,
yeah,
it is I had to look it up because it's like there is not a moment in this movie where I'm like, "Ugh, yikes." Like it is so fine-tuned, and Lowry feels like a filmmaker that is having these bold, audacious ideas, but he will never not do them unless he has a certainty that they will be done to their fullest.
yeah,
And it just I'm not gonna say that like he's the next Shyamalan or he's the next Wachowski because those are people in the league of their own doing it in vastly different ways. But like I think you listeners know, you sitting across from me know, like, there are artists that are there to just make you fucking feel. And I think if you get on this tone poem that David Lowery creates, he will whisk you to the high heavens. And it's so good.
yeah,
And if for anything, just see the movie for the way that the last to 6 words of dialogue are uttered. And it's just like he's got it. Like there's nothing else I can say, and I'm very glad that we actually avoided like spoilers. Again, it's not a very spoilerific kind of movie, but it's a movie that you just gotta fucking feel.
yeah, 100%. And please go watch it. Anyone who's listening who's able to go watch it.
I agree, and if you haven't already, I always forget because we get so lost in the fucking sauce. Please email us in at beneflickspod@gmail.com or comment down below any thoughts, feelings, questions pertaining to Lowry's big bald fucking head, or Mother Mary, or your mother, or a person named Mary in your life. Anything you have, Let us know down below, my
Let's talk
friends.
about it.
Please, 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 we do not bite unless you want us to. And follow us in all of our socials. They are all in the description down below. My letterbox, Tyson's letterbox, my YouTube's non-ASMR, ASMR related socials. Please look forward to next week's video, which we are going to be recording hopefully relatively soon. I will say I'm really fucking excited because for me especially, I have no idea what I'm getting into.
Yeah, I mean, think I know, but I don't think either of us can even.
No.
Yeah.
It could be a fucking blunder, but we will see. Anyway, my friends, thank you all so much. My God, I really didn't spend this episode coughing. I thought I was.
You locked
So
in.
I did lock in. I've been holding my breath for an hour. Oh my God, an hour and 40 minutes. Anyway, guys, I love you so much. Stay tuned. You guys are amazing.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Love you. Have a great one. Peace.